Shalom, this is the new Yeshua Mizrah Hebrew on the Island 2. Today's video is called Is Prophets Still Here? Some Israelites say there is no more prophets. They ended at the end of the Haftorah, and Negro Christians and Messianics always say the last prophet was John. I'm going to say here at Hebrew on the Island 2, lie, lie, lie. If you've been watching my channel for any time, you know that the New Testament, and the Apocrypha JC is a lie, Jesus. You must prove any biblical question only out of the law, which is the first 5 books. Nowhere in the law it says the prophets have ceased. Wasn't even talking about prophets. Prophets came after. But the form of the prophet is Joshua, Caleb, Moses, and all those that are telling and reminding the people and crying and sighing and telling them to stay with the covenantal agreement, which is keeping the law. Listen, on this online etymology dictionary, which I'm showing you right here, go on it yourself and you look up the definition of prophet. And it says a person who speaks. I'll bring it right now, you can see it. A person who speaks for, it says God, but we know Elohim, one who foretells, inspired preacher. One who foretells, is telling things prophetic. It also says an interpreter and a spokesman. Okay, so it's just not somebody that foretells. That means somebody's predicting the future, saying futuristic things, events that will occur. A prophet is also an interpreter. Interpreter of what? The interpreter of the law. And some of you guys don't come out, oh, well, anybody can interpret it. No, they can't. Because if that was the case, most of the Hebrew Israelites, niggas would be Hebrew Israelites, law keepers. So from their biblical prowess and knowledge, you could tell they don't understand. So they need an interpreter. A lot of people don't like to read. They need an interpreter. A lot of people just like to watch television, play video games and computers, and go out and smoke hookah and stuff. They need an interpreter. The definition, because I know you don't have to believe me. I'm showing you what is presented to you from the so-called people in the know. They're telling you, prophet is just not somebody that foretells things. He's somebody that interprets. He's a spokesman. What does a spokesman do? A spokesman just speaks on the things that are given to him to speak about. He represents, or she represents, an organization, an entity, or somebody, and they're speaking on their behalf, not using their words, using the words of that person, that organization, etc., etc. That's the definition of a prophet. So for all you guys that keep saying, oh, there's no more prophets and stuff like that, yes, we do have modern day prophets. The modern day prophets are people as myself and you other YouTube guys and you Facebook guys that post things all the time about the law and come back to your culture, Negro, and be faithful to the Most High. That's you're acting out the role of a prophet, a spokesman, an interpreter. I'm talking about those fake Christians who are saying, oh, I got a word from God and he's telling me that you're going to be rich or your cancer's going, or etc., etc. I'm not talking about that. As you see yourself, a prophet is a spokesman and an interpreter, not of their own words. Right now, come with me. Look at this. I'm going to show you this reference. This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. If you have one, great. If not, go to Barnes & Noble. You can look it up. And let's look up their definition they give of prophet. Because you have a lot of Hebrews on YouTube, and just people in general, they come to that same conclusion. There's no more prophets. or anybody says they're a prophet is a liar. And I'm revealing to you that's not true. When you go to page, let me see if it clears up, 476, see the word prophet. It says a spokesman for Elohim. Old Testament prophets were not interpreters of God's will. Were not interpreters of God's will. They uttered the actual words which God gave them. The Most High gave them. It's page 476 in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Again, a spokesman. Not uttering their words. Not seeing dreams. Not hearing an audible voice saying, "Thus," no. They're interpreting the actual law. They're crying and sighing because they see the nation of Israel, the physical nation of Israel, desiring to live like the Grecians, the heathens, and are not following the law and being stiff-necked and walking backwards. So they are the spokesman for Elohim because he wants his people to do that, to warn the people, to instruct the people to return. Okay. Now, before we go on to, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. No. Let me just finish, and then I'm going to go on to these other things. Okay, hold on. Bear with me. I have to stretch because I'm trying to get this focus right on my. It's not a new camera, but it's my new camera, and it's it's not the most expensive. I'm not going to complain, but it's a good camera. But the focus, I have to have a lot of distance between me and a computer so you can actually see everything I want you to see, so forth and so on. Okay, this is the Webster Dictionary. Okay, foretell means to tell beforehand, predict. Those were the prophets in biblical times. They predicted and they foretold. They knew beforehand, before an incident actually occurred that the Most High decreed, they were warning the people about. They were prophets. What I'm trying to tell you and show you is there's another type of prophet. He doesn't foretell, he forthtells. Forthtell. Look it. Forthtel. The other one is different. It's foretell. It's this. It's foretel. That's to predict. Tell beforehand. These are the functions of a prophet. They could foretell and forthtell. They can do one or the other or both. Definition of forthtell is to make public and to publish. To make public is to make what has already been and bring it to the public. Show the public, make the public aware of it. That's like publishing. When a book writer writes it, the book is already written. What's the next step for a book writer after he or she has written a book? Is to publish it so it can go to the public. Not that when it's published, new things are going to be added to it. No, it's that the work of the author is now going to be brought forth to the forefront so the public can read it, view it, think about it, act upon it. So for all you Messianic Hebrews, Christians, there's no more prophets, there's no more modern prophets. Yes, there is. Of course, I'm not talking about the prophets and prophetess of the demonic Christian church. Not them. I'm talking about the Hebrew Israelite modern day prophets. Yes, they are. They do exist. And I already proved it to you right there. Let me give you some verses in the New Testament, the fake New Testament. That's why a lot of Christians and Messianic Hebrews say there's no more prophets, modern day prophets, because they're going and not proving everything that they want to figure out of the law. And that's how you have to do it. If you do it any other way, you are off track. You are in left field. This is what the Christians and Messianic Hebrews use. They use Hebrews 1, chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. Elohim, who at sundry times and in divers manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. See, you know the New Testament is a demonic lie by the Roman aristocrats. They saw that the Hebrew culture, traditions were over their pagan faith, so they had to make something new that the Hebrews of that time would accept. So they just plagiarized the Old Testament and threw in all their paganism, and that's how you got the New Testament. So when they're referring, oh, this is why there's no more prophets, they said now the Son is the only ultimate prophet. The New Testament is fake. JC is fake. Whether for the Christians you're white Jesus, or for the Messianic Hebrews you're black Jesus. They both are fake. Most High Son, you find that in Exodus 4. The Most High said to Moses, tell Pharaoh that Israel is my son, even my firstborn. Sons of Israel are just the men of Israel. They also use Luke 16:16. The law and the prophets were until John. Since that time the kingdom of Elohim is preached, and every man pressed into it. Excuse me. Got a little cough. That's from my all my activities that I've been doing. But anyway, there's a couple other ones they use, but Hebrews 1 and 2, and Luke 16 and 16 are prominent ones they use, so that they could disregard the notion or the biblical fact that there's modern day prophets that are forthtelling. Okay. So if you take in consideration all that I presented, the conclusion is that there are modern day prophets. They are only law keepers. They are only law keepers, and only are making the law public to the masses, but mainly to the physical Israelites, because they're the only ones that have salvation. The salvation of the Gentiles is perpetual servitude and slavery. And they were the ones that were born not with the upright spirit. So their main function was to sigh and cry to the men and women and children of Israel. Being a prophet just isn't in the mode of forthtelling. It also involves forthtelling. You have foretelling and forthtelling, which is just publishing, making public what has already been written. There is still prophets today. This is the new Yeshua Israelite Hebrew on the island too. Until next time, shalom.